Hi everybody, this is the Baseball HUD, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, HUD, and welcome back to another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
And welcome back to the Baseball HUD 3, and hopefully you like this video, and hit that subscribe button. So we're back here talking about Carton. Returns to WFAN. He will be returning on January 5th. In fact, the whole lineup at the fan is being completely turned over. Because Craig Carton, I guess, supposedly gets good ratings and buzz. But a couple of things, and I was thinking about this, and a lot of people are very upset about this. Because guys that did a good job, Brandon Tierney, Sal Licata, basically were let go. They were fired from the fan. They did a good job. They got good ratings. People liked the show. They got, they got attention for themselves on the radio, and they were let go. For a guy that has burned a lot of people, has burned a lot of bridges. Now, he's going to be. I will mention this about Craig Carton. He's going to be a very fun subject. A very fun subject for your host to talk about. Because I was reading this article earlier and yesterday. He's thin skin. He's very thin skinned. So he's going to be a lot of fun. I will get a reaction out of him. That I can assure you. But what's interesting is that this guy has done a lot of things wrong and he keeps getting chance after the chance. There's nothing wrong with redemption. But when guys are being stepped on and being thrown to the side for this guy, then a lot of people are upset about it. I mean, a lot of people leaving negative comments about Carton are saying the same things. This is a guy that, heard a lot of people, keeps getting chance after chance. And you have two guys that did a good job again. But let me read you this, and this is kind of funny. What Carton said here, this is from Barrett Media. This is a great site that I found. It's a radio site. They get all the radio news, and they get this actually before awful announcing. And what's great about this site, awful announcing sucks. I mean, it's a great website, but it freezes on my computer. Drives me nuts. But Barrett Media doesn't. Headline: Craig Carton, Brandon Tierney, Sal Licata did nothing wrong as they depart WFAN. Wasn't that funny, interesting? Let me read that again. Brandon Tierney, Sal Licata did nothing wrong. Well, he did a lot of things wrong. This is Craig Carton. We'll get into that. Quote, I've never been in a situation where a radio station company allows someone who's not continuing at that station to still go on the air, end quote. Craig Carton addressed the ripple effects of his highly publicized return to WFAN, offering praise and empathy, for Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata while acknowledging the difficult realities of sports radio roster changes. Did he feel any empathy when he was stealing $5.6 million? No. Appearing on Evan and Tiki, Carton spoke candidly about how his move back into the afternoon drive coincided with the end of Tierney and Licata's program on the station. While Carton was not involved in the decision-making process, he emphasized the two hosts handled their departures with professionalism and grace. What were they supposed to do? They weren't burn bridges. They want to come back in the future. Well, Brandon Sal didn't do anything wrong. That's right. It's a tough business we've all chosen. But it's the business we have chosen, and I thought they handled the news as well as anyone in the history of radios ever handled it. This is like a line from The Godfather, too. I didn't ask who gave the order. Hyman Roth complaining about Mo Green I don't know. I mean, I didn't ask who gave the order when he shot him in the eye. I know I'm paraphrasing. But it's very much like that. This is the business we've chosen. I didn't ask who gave the order. No, of course not. What do you think was going to happen? He doesn't give a shit. This guy doesn't give a shit. Remember, he conned a lot of people out of money. So he doesn't give a shit. Okay? He wanted to come back. He has a friend at the station. He didn't burn his bridges with him, and he was coming back. Tierney and Licata were allowed to remain on the air to the conclusion of their run with the station. That, you know why that happened? That's guilt. That's guilt by the program director and the president of the station. That's guilt. Carton noted that decision spoke volumes about the trust WFAN management had in the duo. That's guilt. I've never been in a situation where a radio station or a company allowed someone who's not continuing at that station to still go on the air. Carton said they never would have let those guys go on the air if there wasn't an amazing amount of trust, right, and professionalism. No, it's guilt. While Carton acknowledged how painful the situation was for those affected, he expressed confidence in both hosts' future. He doesn't give a shit. He can say all this. He doesn't care. He got his seat back. That's all he cares about. And the reason he's back is because his Fox show was a disaster. That Fox show that he has was a failure. He does not translate well on TV. Quote, I also root for them and want the best for them. I'm sure they will land on their feet and do amazing things in the future in their careers. Does that sound like a form letter to you? It certainly does. I mean, that's the kind of thing you get when you're up for a job and they say that to you. You know, I'm sure you'll land on your feet, do amazing things in the future. Just like something that a teacher writes to a parent, writes to a student in high school. Carton also addressed some listener reaction to his return, particularly criticism, suggesting his arrival directly caused others to lose their jobs. While understanding the perception, he said the circumstances were more complex than they appeared. Okay? I get it, and I'm sensitive to it. No, you're not. And I just want the best for those two guys, Carton said. Fortunately, that's not here right now, but you never know what the future holds. Let me tell you something. He ain't going to be around at WFAN that long. I'm going to make that prediction. Remember, something about comebacks. Comebacks don't last that long. They don't last that long. That's for damn sure. In addition to Tierney and Licata's exit, Carton's return resulted in Evan and Tiki moving from afternoon drive to middays. Now, Evan was asked to take back Carton, and he said no. So he not only, this is how stupid Uneven Evan is. Uneven Evan is so stupid that not only did he give up his radio show in the afternoon, but he gave up his TV show in the afternoon. That's on SNY. So is Carton taking that back? Of course he is. Of course, because SNY likes having a show on there to come in before the Met games in the afternoon. So Carton made a point to acknowledge the sacrifice Evan Roberts and Tiki Bar made in the reshuffling for his eventual return. But they gave up the TV show. You don't give up the TV show, man. Quote, I'm very sensitive to the fact that my coming back has not been good for everybody. It hasn't been good for anybody. He was talking about it. Only good for him. I know you guys moved from afternoon drive, which I know means the world to you guys, to a different day part isn't what you expected or wanted. Yeah, this guy's a fucking bullshit artist. My God. Despite the changes, Carton expressed confidence in WFN's revamped lineup and gratitude toward his colleagues for embracing the transition. I appreciate the fact you're doing it with a smile on your face. You're going to kill it in middays. Licata officially signed off from the fan last week, while Tierney officially signed off B&T and Sal in middays earlier Friday. Now, a couple of things. He doesn't care, okay? He doesn't care. So one thing he knows is that when he took the offer from Fox, that if he wanted to go back to the fan, he could go back anytime he wanted. Okay? So it was a failure. It was a failure. He tried TV. It didn't work. Okay? But people don't look at it like that. People look at him coming back a third time and these guys getting fired when they did a decent job. People in this country don't like it when you break your ass and you work hard and you struggle to get where you need to go, and somebody that has committed crimes, real crimes, is able to get away with it. Now, here's from USA Today Sports. This is from September 6th, 2017. You look up Craig Carton and scams and everything else, you'll find all these old articles about his arrest. Headline, sports radio host Craig Carton arrested in alleged ticket scam. Get this. Now, this is before he was sentenced. Prominent sports radio personality Craig Carton was arrested Wednesday on charges he scammed $5.6 million from investors and a ticket reselling scheme to pay his gambling debts. Holy shit. The motor mouth co-host of the Boomer and Carton morning show on New York's WFAN allegedly, well, it wasn't allegedly now, he did, switched from sports squads to crime teams last year after he racked up millions of dollars in debt to 2 gambling casinos, an additional $825,000 to another individual. That's the bookie. Carton allegedly tried to dupe one potential investor by showing a fictitious agreement to purchase millions of dollars worth of face value tickets to upcoming concerts by artists Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, Roger Waters, Metallica, and Barbara Streisand, according to a civil complaint filed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And I don't know if he pled, I gotta look it up again, but I believe he pled guilty to all this, so he admitted that he did this. Similarly, he showed another investor documents about a purported agreement to buy millions of dollars worth of concert tickets for popular singer Adele directly from her management company. The complaint charged. Now, who's dumb enough to fall for this? Well, same people that were dumb enough to rehire him at their time. Quote, guys, I've done it, Carton allegedly texted to an unidentified co-conspirator on October 12, 2016. One investor, Reddy, committed $10 million liquid and $40 million LLC line of credit with $50 million more if needed. I need some info. List of shows with 100% prove access to tickets. Wow. In reality, federal authorities alleged that the agreements were phony, and the signatures of concert promoters and venue officials were forgeries. The complaint said, wow. The SEC charged Carton and companies he controlled with federal securities fraud. The court complaint also charged co-defendant Joseph Melli, who was previously charged with a similar reselling scam involving reported receipts of the Spanish Broadway musical Hamilton. Federal prosecutors in Manhattan filed parallel criminal charges of conspiracy, wire fraud, and securities fraud against Carton and co-defendant Michael Wright. Wow. Investors were lured with promise of big profits from resales of A-list concert tickets, but little did they know their money was being used. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, a bit of a flutter. Investors were lured with promises of big profits from resales of A-list concert tickets, but little did they know their money was being used to cover Carton's gambling debts, said Paul Levinson, director of the SEC's Boston Regional Office. Behind all the talk, the Wright and Carton show was just a sham, designed to fleece investors out of millions, ultimately to be spent on payments to casinos and to pay off other personal debt, said acting Manhattan U.S. Attorney John Kim. Carton and Wright were ordered released on $500,000 personal reconnaissance bonds following their initial appearance in Manhattan federal court. Wow. Carton is co-host of the popular CBS operated show with former NFL quarterback Norman Esiason. The show has aired since 2007. CBS radio spokesperson told USA Today Sports the network was aware of Carton's arrest and cooperating with authorities. During the show's Wednesday morning broadcast, Esiason initially appeared to think that Carton had called in sick. He didn't get sick. He got arrested. The retired Cincinnati Bengals star later told listeners he was stunned to learn the FBI agents had arrested Carton at the radio psychic's home in Lower Manhattan. I mean, this is... So we'll get into further into this whole situation about what he actually did, because he did spend time in prison, and he's made $5.6 million. My gosh, $5.6 million of gambling debt. And meanwhile, folks, he had this show on the weekends where he was trying to help people, break the addiction to gambling. But here's the funny thing: going through all these different reports and all these different articles, he works for FanDuel. He has a contract with FanDuel. So he still is being propped up by the gambling racket. I mean, what's going on here? I better be careful. Watch my back, But I'm just saying, this is crazy. But then again, this is what you get when you're dealing with the criminally insane at the nervous hospital known as WFAN. God help me.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha, to the funny fun.